Excitement is in the air here in Warwick as the town gears up for summer. Join us as we take a look at some fun activities throughout the town, reflect on some events of the past, and preview the finest Warwick has to offer, all coming up on In the Valley. As we hit the summer season and temperatures rise, you can't beat the heat. So what can we do to get a reprieve from the brutal summer weather? We were on the scene at one of the Valley's most popular summer hangouts.
Here in Warwick, there is a lovely place that is great for any boating activities you may want to do. This is Greenwood Lake, a large, sprawling lake great for families to have fun in the water.
I come to Greenwood Lake to do kayaking with my family to enjoy the outdoors, the fresh water, and all the nature that is around here.
Aside from kayaking, there's also rowing clubs for kids to practice working as a team and having fun while doing so. And when it comes to needing a place to keep your new boat, there are plenty of marinas here in Greenwood Lake to not only keep your boat secure, but also give some recommendations.
Over here at Bob's Marina, we rent dock space and we launch boats. To help people in Greenwood Lake, we have a reasonable price. Been in the business for, I'd say, 45 years. Here at Greenwood Lake, we love to enjoy paddleboarding, kayaking, motorboat, and even sailing. What I like to do to enjoy the lake is basically relax on the boat, usually in the evening when the sun's going down and you get the two-tone colors on the mountains. Greenwood Lake is a very beautiful place to live and to visit.
When it comes to high-speed thrills on the water or a calm day with your family, there is no better place than Greenwood Lake, and people here tend to agree.
Just want to say some of the great things to do in Greenwood Lake. As you can see, it's a beautiful area. You got the mountain. We do a lot of boating on Greenwood Lake, fishing, kayaking, all the fun water sports. And it's right close to New York City, only an hour away from New York City. And the best people you find in Greenwood Lake, New York, 10925.
So whether you are just a visitor or a longtime resident here, there's a way to enjoy the water for everyone. I'm Milkweed, and this is WVTV.
If you're interested in visiting Greenwood Lake, consider going to one of the several marinas around. But if you're not, consider getting involved elsewhere. Somewhere you can imagine the heroic feats of Odysseus, the beauty of nature, the tenderness of love, the innocence of youth. All such different topics, but yet they stand united under one common medium.
Often seen as a medium to be afraid of. Confusing yet iconic lines such as "to be or not to be, that is the question," intrigue us as much as deter us. It's so easy to get paralyzed by the subtle meanings and language of poetry. But if you overcome the minute barrier of entry, it's a beautiful world of limitless possibilities and potential. Luckily, the Warwick Historical Society may have just a solution.
So using our large room for these sort of community events, it makes us feel like we really just want to give back to our community all the time. We love to support the village, the town of Warwick, and the three villages in the hamlet of Pine Island as well.
The Milkweed Poetry Workshop is one of their latest events in their goal of giving back to the community. Poetry can be such a hard form of writing to understand that the idea of writing one might seem insane. How could you write something you struggle to read? Milkweed Poetry Workshop is here to help.
I think people can be afraid of poetry because there can be a lot of academic nuances to it, which are all wonderful, and you can get really deep into iambic pentameter and syntax, and I think sometimes people can be afraid that they're going to be wrong, but especially the way that we write poetry in this workshop, there's not really a wrong way to write poetry.
For 2 hours, participants get to enjoy, discuss, write, and share poetry. The poems are accessible to all reading levels, while allowing for deeper and enriching discussions. They focus on the essential theme that was referenced throughout the whole workshop. The atmosphere was inviting, yet respectful. Some spoke adamantly on their interpretation of stanzas, while others were content with simply listening. It never felt like anyone was forced to participate or shamed for talking too much or too little.
The thing I like about this workshop and why I was drawn to it originally and why I was so thrilled to become a host is that it's 2 hours of my week that we're talking about how something feels or a certain chapter of your life or empathy or big thoughts and big feelings, and to be able to do that with a group of people is really lovely, and kind of refreshing, because I work in an office most of the time and I don't get those conversations elsewhere.
The inviting atmosphere all starts with the host, who isn't a teacher or an expert in poetry. She enjoyed the medium and wanted to explore it and understand it more. Her argument that poetry is more about emotions than academics greatly reduced the pressure anyone may have been feeling.
I didn't originally host this workshop. Wendy, who is my co-host, she actually was my high school English teacher, and when I moved back to the Warwick area, she told me that I had to come to this workshop, that it was so wonderful, and she was hosting it at the time with Richie Kirsting, and it got me into writing. And eventually when Richie moved, she asked if I would take over the co-host position, and I've been writing every week ever since. And
English teachers do their best to make novels, and especially poems, as accessible as possible. Yet so many students come out of their classes with a distaste for Frost, Shakespeare, and Poe.
Students tend to fear poetry because they're afraid to get it wrong. If you look at understanding a poem as like solving a riddle, for some students it can be really kind of daunting, and nobody wants to be made to feel foolish. And I think especially if students have had a bad experience with poetry where someone has told them that they're getting it wrong or they're doing it wrong.
It's such a shame because poetry is such an expansive subject that isn't limited to the enjoyment of academic scholars. They could have simple vocabulary, no meter, and sometimes the meaning may just jump out at you. There are always those who appreciate poetry that they can dig into and peel back layer by layer, but sometimes it is just as enjoyable to grasp a poem on the first read.
I think students could get more into poetry by kind of freeing themselves up from the expectation that, again, a poem has to be a certain way or it has to fit a certain criteria, or without putting that pressure on themselves to kind of get it right.
Through events like the Milkweed Poetry Workshop, you could get over your fears of poetry and learn to embrace it. Express yourself in a way that is purely unique to you, learn more about others with their poems, and just have a fun time.
Expressive nature that it can, with words, present so many different things. It can present texture and light and emotion. It's just a very simple and complex form of expression. I enjoy it.
I came to this workshop because I've attended other Milkweed gatherings back in Sugarloaf, back before the pandemic kind of shot everything down. And I like the personal contact I have with the other poets that take part in reading and in listening. I like the emotional sense in their facings when they're doing their delivery. And
some might say that poetry is a dying art, and there's no point in learning it. But to that I say, it's a writing technique that has lasted the test of time and will continue to persevere.
I think if you listen to music and you sing along, you're reciting poetry. Rap music is essentially poetry, put to a melody.
We can share poetry more than ever now with some social media stuff and online things, and every person's voice can be heard. I think it might be changing a lot. I think it might be exiting some of the academic circles and then hopefully showing up more in people's everyday lives.
For more information about the workshop, feel free to visit their website and check when the next in-person one is in your town, or even attend one of their online events for easier access. This is Matt Doherty with WBTV, signing out.
Poetry can be anything from a sophisticated piece of writing that takes someone months to carefully craft together, or even just a simple rant to jot down in your notes app before bed. Poetry is for everyone, unless it isn't. That was poetic. Don't go away. We'll be taking a trip down memory lane when we return.
I don't remember how it started. Our back and forth. Victory. Fumble. Repeat. It always came back.
okay, here we go, throw it!
Yeah. You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
Nice.
are a few things that truly encapsulate the summer like baseball. The smell of a fresh mitt, the crack of a bat, the taste of sunflower seeds, the banging of trash cans as you cheat your way to a World Series. There truly is nothing like it. Let's take a look at baseball here in the community.
It is officially spring, and for most Americans, that means baseball, America's favorite pastime. Sure, we love watching the professional athletes play in the major leagues, but what about our local leagues? Some of the most passionate athletes are those just starting to fall in love with the game. So let's go back to where it all starts, Little League. Here in Warwick, New York, April 23rd officially marks opening day. Held at Memorial Field, Little League has been going on for many years, and that tradition still lives on today. President Rich DiConstanzo is one of the many people who have supported youth sports over the years here in Warwick.
Why should somebody join Little League? There's 1,000 reasons why. Little League, it's community, it's competitive. It's just like, I grew up playing from 6 years old, and now I'm like president of the league. If you saw at the parade, it's just like, it's community. It's amazing. Baseball, I live and breathe it. It's a great sport. I think they get so much out of it. One of the Little League creeds is make better people, so it's all about teamwork, teamwork, teamwork.
President DiConstanzo has been making strides in Little League, helping kids form bonds with other teammates and creating long-lasting relationships. Parents also play an important role in supporting youth sports.
So my husband and I played Little League as kids in Warwick, and we really wanted our children to get involved with it as well, because both of us we made long-lasting relationships and friendships while playing Little League that we still have until today. Just coming out here and being with other kids and being with all the parents, it really helps to strengthen the community, and it really helps these guys in school and make new friends and get along with other kids. So I think we both think it's really important that they participate.
Due to the fact that my son's gonna be 5 this coming year, I feel like the pandemic kind of stunted his development. So I feel like Little League kind of helped him interact more with kids his own age, and he's able to learn and the concept of teamwork. So I feel like, sports in general just helps kids build that foundation of relying on each other.
Danielle Bugash and Melissa Thorne have been a part of the Warwick community for years. Melissa being a parent and Danielle teaching at Warwick Valley High School while also being an avid softball player. They both know what it takes to be a part of a team and how important it is. Teamwork is a big part of baseball, but what about the other lessons kids learn from Little League? Michael Prano shared with us why he signed up his kid for Little League.
I loved baseball growing up. He likes baseball, so I figured I'd sign him up, and he wanted to play.
While Little League may be far away from the Major League in terms of skill and entertainment, it is still a vital part of many baseball players' development and is important to the community here in Warwick. It's where kids learn how to be a good teammate, make friends, and create long-lasting memories.
The town's elementary and middle schools were bustling all spring with the talk of the fierce competition throughout the various levels of Little League, and these kids all made lifelong friends and memories. But none of this would have been possible if it weren't for some of the selfless actions of some amazing volunteers.
Decades of pollution are forever changing the world we live in. However, local communities are working to help improve the environment. From April 16th to the 24th, Operation Clean Sweep was in full effect in the town of Warwick. There are 3 organizations hosting the event: the Lions Club, the Prevention Coalition, and the Chamber of Commerce. Gina and Elizabeth are both part of the Chamber of Commerce and are very set on keeping the town of Warwick beautiful for tourists along with the locals.
Well, being in the chamber, what we're trying to do is promote business and tourism, and no one wants to come to a town that's full of rubbish and trash and garbage. So I really do feel that it helps. It really does help the chambers as helping the small businesses, keeping the town beautiful so people do want to come back here and enjoy everything that Warwick has to offer. And also the residents that live here, they also enjoy a cleaner town too, so it really just helps everybody.
I think now if we start cleaning up, then there won't be built up waste on the streets. With COVID, there's so many masks and gloves all over that I've seen. Everyone being part of the same community, we all have to put in effort to just keep Warwick the beautiful town that it is, and keep it a safe environment for everyone and all the younger kids.
Everyone who participated in the event helped Warwick residents get rid of unneeded paper, medicine, and old shoes. The Clean Sweep organizers also provided garbage bags, and gloves to people who wanted to start picking up trash around town.
Our goal every year is, to keep all this paper and sneakers out of the landfills and do it at a service to the community.
Keeping all this paper out of the landfill is obviously very important as our landfills are filling up. And as I said, the privacy issue has also increased the amount of paper people wish to bring and have properly destroyed. We generally collect at least 3,000 pounds of paper which has been shredded and kept out of the landfills. Some years it's been even more, so it definitely has a positive impact on the environment.
If it wasn't for events like these, then there would be less information out for parents and the community. There would be more availability of drugs and alcohol, and there would be less community involvement and unity.
Not only does Clean Sweep make our town more beautiful, but it brings people together. And after so much cleaning and teamwork, the town is beginning to look better than ever, and the community is united in a common goal.
The beautification of Warwick is a never-ending process that goes far beyond physically cleaning up trash. Warwick artists of all ages are working to make their mark on the community.
Art is a beautiful thing. How something so simple can be made from anything, and from anywhere. There are many ways to create art. Some artists use pencils or paint or brushes. Some artists use things that others wouldn't even think would be used for creating art. When looking into this, I was amazed at what people can do by using different types of art forms. So I went down to the pits to see what the students of Warwick Valley High School do when they challenge their creative minds.
In 3D media, we use a variety of materials to create our three-dimensional sculptures, such as cardboard, wire, paper towel rolls. We use Sculpey. We also use filament for the 3D doodler pen, and we use mesh and fabric.
There are students that take photography classes. They take pictures of landscapes, objects, people doing dynamic poses. While some artists use everyday items to create their works of art, there are some that take that concept of sculpting and use their passion to create something that can last a lifetime.
So in my last year of college, I was going to school to be an art teacher, and I took a class called Jewelry in Education. So it was really geared towards the idea of teaching jewelry making. But I fell in love with the process of hammering and bending and using different stones. So I started making a lot of jewelry, and by the end of the class, I had a student ask me where, someone from another class asked me where I got the jewelry from, and I told them that I made the jewelry, and they said, would you sell me a piece? And I was like, oh, okay. Like, it didn't really dawn on me that I could sell the jewelry. I really always loved jewelry, and I was really just making the jewelry for myself. But once I realized that I could sell the jewelry, I took my jewelry and went out to some craft fairs and started selling the jewelry.
There are many artists that come here to display their work here in the gallery. Their creations have given other artists the inspiration to try other mediums and to create other works of art.
So I got into pen and ink in high school pretty early on. I was always the kid that drew and was the artistic kid. And I was introduced to the idea of pen and ink in high school by my high school art teacher, and just kind of really took to it. I love the permanency of it, that it, you put the ink on paper and it's there. There's no erasing it. So it was a nice challenge, and I just kind of continued with it. And I've explored painting and oil paints and acrylics and other mediums, but I always came back to pen and ink, and so that's where I decided to focus.
Everywhere I go, I see different kinds of art pieces, creating a magical painting of what makes the town of Warwick. However, there are still some questions that I still have. Where do these artists find the inspiration to create these works of art?
Jewelry making was a form of meditation for me, because at the time when I started doing jewelry, which was in 2009, I had just lost my dad, and it was a form of grief, an expression of grief, but yet beauty. And brass particularly, I fell in love with it because it's the color of gold, which is the ultimate love for me, but I can't afford to work it with gold, so I chose brass because it's pure and it doesn't tarnish, and it gives you fantastic jewelry. For example, the pieces that I'm wearing right now, if I must say so myself, and all you have to do is just clean it and it shines like gold. It works easily and you can make really dynamic pieces, and that's why I love using brass.
Hi, I'm Joe and I do some wood turning, and I have a booth here tonight at the Warwick Love Local Fair, and a little background on what I did. I started wood turning about 10 years ago, and I came into it from basically when I was in junior high school. We had they had home ec, and then they had you know, the guys' stuff was wood shop, and in wood shop they had all of these wonderful tools that they'd let you use, and the lathe was one of the tools they wouldn't let us use unless you were older. And it was always fascinated by what they were doing with it. So when I started doing some work in my own shop, I got involved with woodworking in general, and I found an inexpensive lathe. And I started from there. It was a $100 lathe. It was not very great, but it certainly got me started on things, and started from there. And here's where I ended up at this point in time.
Every artist can create something that can leave a mark on the world or brighten someone's day. For WVTV, I'm Edward Mulvey.
The ability to create something of that caliber truly is something special. When we return here on In the Valley, we'll be taking a look at some more very high caliber projects on a much larger scale.
There is a road laid out for me, leading down to
boxes everywhere. And this is gonna be Addie's room.
I am blind, but I need not see.
I think you're really gonna like it.
I know this road is there for me. There is a love waiting.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Ways down by the river. I am blind, but I need not see. I know this love is there for me.
Nice and slow.
I got this. Take me down to the river and wash me.
Okay. What do you think?
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
Premiering on May
Welcome back to In the Valley. We're going to continue exploring summer activities with our next story. As many of you know, a highly anticipated film premiered on Memorial Day weekend, treating fans of all walks of life to an immersive cinematic experience. Let's explore the latest Tom Cruise blockbuster.
Premiering on May 27th, Top Gun Maverick is one of the most anticipated sequels of the last 30 years. With superstar actors Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer reprising their roles alongside newcomers like Miles Teller and Jon Hamm, this new movie is being praised as a perfect blockbuster. Holding a special place in the hearts of many, local pilot and former Air Force cadet Micah O'Connor has unique memories surrounding the original Top Gun movie.
During basic training at the Air Force Academy, 4th of July,
they let us have the evening, and they gave us the evening off, and after the sun went down, they played Top Gun. This was 1988. They put on Top Gun for a bunch of cadets at the Air Force Academy. So to start the evening and start the movie, we went crazy. We were so psyched. We got to like have soda and cake and watch a movie. And as excited as we were, because it was Top Gun and there were fighter planes, most of us fell asleep. We were exhausted, and it was the middle of basic training, so we fell asleep and then woke up for the end and then had to march back and go to sleep. So my best memory of Top Gun, as much as I loved the movie, my best memory was actually falling asleep for a lot of it because I was exhausted.
The practical effects and realism in Top Gun Maverick is what many fans are excited to see on Memorial Day weekend.
So what I read about it is that a lot of the actors and a lot of the crew got to spend a lot of time in airplanes. A number of them got their pilot's licenses, and a number of the actors spent a lot of time in jets that can pull high Gs. It's not like they're flying Navy jets, but they spend time in Navy jets being flown around, actually pulling the sorts of Gs that have to be endured when you're in the planes flying these maneuvers. That's really exciting. I'm glad that they're doing some real action and that there's going to be not just a bunch of green screen stuff, but they're actually putting planes through. That will be a lot of fun to watch.
With over 800 hours of content being filmed, this is sure to be one of the most action-packed and ambitious films of the year. The sequel, 36 years in the making, Top Gun Maverick, is set to fly high in the box office this summer, with fans young and old anticipating a loyal continuation of one of the most beloved films of the 80s.
Receiving the largest Memorial Day box office ever, Top Gun Maverick has proved to be a critical and commercial success, something that is a rarity in a world of mediocrity. And as luck would have it, we sent investigative reporter Kaylin Ackerman to go wallow in this mediocrity and settle a long-standing debate.
Oh hey, come on in. Today we'll be reviewing, well, nope, we're not reviewing, we're finding the best coffee in Warwick, New York. Our options are Dunkin Donuts, obviously, Burger King, and Cafe Dolce. Let's go. You may be wondering, why should we trust you? I'll have you know. I have many years of experience in tasting many different types of coffee in the 845 and 201 areas. Iced coffee with milk and sugar, and it's not milk and sugar. I don't know what this is. It tastes good. The worker was really mean. He didn't say anything. It was really scary. There's also a lot of milk on my coffee when I got it. But it tastes better than this one, so. That just tastes like coffee creamer, I'm gonna be completely honest. Okay, after tasting all three of these, here's the ranking. In last place, dead last place, we have, I don't know what to call this, from Cafe Dolce. It has no flavor except like dirty water. It's just not what I like in my coffee. So this is dead last. Second place we have Burger King Cafe. This just tastes like pure creamer in a cup. I mean, it's better than this, but it's too sweet. No thanks. First place, we have Dunkin Donuts. Although my experience there in customer service was horrible, and this is not the best coffee I've ever had from Dunkin', At least they got my order correct.
We can all rest soundly now knowing that this question is finally answered. Warwick runs on Dunkin. That's going to be a wrap on this final episode of In the Valley. We hope that we've provided you with some good recommendations for your summer holiday. For WVTV, I'm Jasleen Alug.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.